What? Hello, you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 5, an incredibly powerful, painful, poignant episode of TV. An episode that used comic book language in a way that I never thought we'd see. I'm going to dive into that. An episode that brought us characters that I've loved for a very long time in ways I didn't expect. And an episode that used its canon in such a fascinating one-of-one way. So this is going to be full spoilers for episode 5. If you haven't seen it yet, please go watch it. If you have seen it, join me. Also hit the subscription bell, leave a comment below, all the YouTube stuff. Let's talk about it with full spoilers. Episode 5 used one of the things I love about comic books, that is a love of a character over a long time, to reframe them. And it used our love of a prior era, almost like reading an old trade paperback or incorporating an artist into a current trade paperback. Like, when you read a comic, there are different eras, and this one lovingly used nostalgia without it being a gimmick, used flashbacks without them being narratively forced, used so much film language and TV language in a way that served a decade of storytelling so specifically. In my opinion, nostalgia can be very dangerous. Nostalgia can be an easy crux to not have good writing. It can be a fun gimmick, and I think Marvel in particular gets called out for that a lot. I personally enjoy little Easter eggs and all those things. It's not my go-to. It's not the thing I highlight. I bring them up, but it's not the main reason I watch these things. But Marvel has a lot of nostalgia because it's been going for so long. Daredevil here showed the power of that without it being the gimmick that I think becomes TikTok-y, because it used emotion. It used a flashback in a way that recontextualized a show from 10 years ago while also informing the new show, and it did it with visual language in a way that felt like an artist on another trade paperback. It was able to capture the feeling of Netflix. One, showing like, hey, if we wanted to, we could have just made the Netflix show, but we're doing a new thing. But two, it did that in a way that showed us and reminded us how much we love these characters and how much time we've spent with them. Vanessa, spoilers for the show. Vanessa is a character that we like and we mainly associate with Kingpin. And this season, we've gotten to know her a bit more, but through the flashbacks of the Avocados at Law, we're reminded of how much we've been invested in these characters for a decade, and that subconsciously ties us to them for so much longer. And it then gives us so much emotional depth and guilt, and what would Foggy do by bringing back the wholesomeness of those debates we love from the original Netflix show between Foggy and Matt. It accomplishes making things canon without it just being a gimmick, but it also recontextualizes that show by seeing, obviously we've seen the moment Vanessa and Fisk meet, but seeing how he was before her, how he was with her, and now having us fear how he'll be after her, but using beautiful visual language to also give us moments like Wesley meeting new Wesley. Like having the Wesley Buck moment was an incredible passing of the torch we actually got to see, and it also shows how long Buck has been in this life. It gives us so much depth. It also gives us those moments of Foggy being so forgiving, being so wholesome, that inform Matt's everything, especially in the Bullseye moments. But it also is going to start to show a divide between Karen and Matt. And they've already had a divide this whole season of Karen drifting towards Punisher's ideology and Matt being ever, this will work, believe the system. And now he's literally brought Bullseye, the man who killed Foggy, into their home. But that's the ultimate forgiveness, forgiving the guy who killed the man that you're thinking of. And all of this while informing how broken Wilson's going to be and how terrifying that is for the entire city, especially Matt and Bullseye. We've seen how Wilson is this broken child. We've seen how tempestuous and childlike and just like he can be. We've never seen that boy be an innocent boy. We've seen him be boyish, but as a tantrum. We've never seen the innocent boy until Vanessa. And then we see Vanessa worrying about it, and then we see her descend and lose her. When the last episode ended, I was like, are they just gonna have this be the end of Vanessa? And I thought that was already going to be powerful because it did mirror, I mean, the dress mirrored the rabbit in the snowstorm, right? Like, that was already a beautiful mirror of, like, the thing Wilson loves most is that painting and Vanessa. Not in that order, Vanessa then the painting. But a large part of why he loves that painting is Vanessa. It represents him being lost, him looking, him striving. It represents so many things, him being overwhelmed. And then the blood splatter represents a new era of him. And now the blood splatter on the dress, I thought that's a lot of beautiful mirroring. But then to give us a whole episode of him losing her again, of memory and having us have memory, having us remember how much we love these characters through the Netflix language of film and through this flashback that takes place before we meet Vanessa, through our connection to Foggy. That is an incredible episode 5 out of 8. That's an incredible middle point of a show, because now we're born again into loving these characters in a way that is fuller. And now we're so much more connected to Wilson. And now we're so much more terrified for Matt and Bullseye, because we're about to get into the last 3 episodes. We're about to have this crazy 3-hour third act, this structure with everything at a fever pitch, which is going to be insane. So I'm so impressed at the pacing of the show. I'm so impressed that this episode was a purely drama episode of television. It was, you can check out our reactions over at Real Rejects, where I watch it in real time and then we react to it like live and then we break it down. But Andrew mentioned it felt like, Law and Order meets Daredevil. It felt like a lot of things, but I forgot how procedural the show could feel. And what a beautiful way to use that procedural setting of a Law & Order CSI kind of thing, to have that one character represent someone that Matt knows shouldn't be out, and that debate go back and forth, but that to make Matt connect to Foggy through Foggy's death and have the ghost of Foggy be the character we're with in this episode. And a great way to bring Eldon Henson back just as an actor. Just such good TV language, such good, and then the comic language of capturing that visual style, like having the other artists come back, and the comic language of using these characters to make each one of them richer, because now I'm more invested in Bullseye. And by the way, I don't think they're redeeming Bullseye. That's way too clean of a word. This isn't redemption. He's not going to be on the Avengers all of a sudden. This is contextualizing Bullseye. This is giving Bullseye layers. This is informing us of what makes Bullseye tick. That's just like any good comic book. You care about Shocker in the Spider-Man comics. You certainly care about Wilson, but they often have like a bar with no name sequence, or they'll have any number of books that are like led by villains, and it's not making them good guys. It's making them human. It's adding layers. So I like that we're getting some time with Bullseye. I like that Matt is struggling to have any sort of forgiveness because it's insane, but it is also part of what his faith is, his belief. And then Foggy is even stronger than that. I also enjoyed it being tied to Foggy as well as the obvious religious ties. I mean, he was in the church itself going through these thoughts and these motions, and all of that was such visual mastery of storytelling. Like the use of lighting in the show is already incredible, but this episode's choreography and this episode's shadow work, I mean, this whole season's shadow work has been insane. This episode really impressed me. I really, really enjoyed seeing Wilson in another way. We've had this guy for more shows than almost anyone. Like 3 seasons of Daredevil, Defenders, Hawkeye, Echo, Born Again season 2. Like, we've had like 8 seasons of Kingpin, and this was another new layer, and I think that's really interesting. And now we've gotten to know Vanessa as we lose her. Now we've got a different connection to Bullseye. Not a hero, but we are now looking at Bullseye in a human way, even while he's still a psychopath. And like his broken moral code is so fascinating. And then how Karen's going to react to that, how Matt will have to defend it, and when you have to defend someone you don't agree with, what that does. There's a lot that's coming in these 3 episodes, and what powerful TV. It was good to see the Avocados at Law back in action. It was great to see that Netflix tone back. I didn't even talk about Gandolfini and Buck. That was also another thing of decisions made, and that planning Buck way back in the day, but also Gandolfini messing up, still leaking stuff to BB, and now obviously he can't. I think we're going to see Gandolfini go full dark side. We're about to see him meet Kingpin, not him meet Wilson. He's fully sworn in now with this body. A lot of interesting stuff. Buck did like him. He was serious. But yeah, I'll be back next week for episode 6. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please let me know in the comments below. What a bold and patient, incredible episode of TV to do like a full-on drama in the middle of all this action, to like really connect again and ground us right as we go into the 3rd act. Woo! Good TV. All right, let me know in the comments below what you thought, and I will see you next week for episode 6. I will see you around now for more boys goodness. I'll see you week to week for comic book goodness. Probably some CinemaCon coverage. Lots of stuff on the page right now, so please hit that subscription bell, leave a comment about this episode, and like while you're pressing buttons. I'll see you soon. Bye.